All right, we'll get started. Good day to everybody. Thank you again for joining us for this inaugural webinar for parents as you begin your journey with the Queen Elizabeth School, Gurugram. I want to thank you to each one of you for devoting your time as we share the many exciting developments in the founding of what promises to be a unique school community in really all the world. It's our privilege to be at the nexus of leading a school community known globally for its excellence, while translating the excellence to a new context here in Gurugram. As leaders in this endeavor, we couldn't be more excited to partner with you in your children's education. And in these few moments together, we hope to share some of our unique history, why we firmly believe in our mission to nurture students in distinctive ways in the 21st century, what you can expect from us as educators, while also offering answers to some very practical questions that you may have. As parents, one of the most important decisions that you'll ever make is for the schooling of your children. So please consider joining us in what promises to be an amazing educational venture as we start this journey together. I'd first just like to make some formal introductions. I am Dr. Craig Cook, founding principal, Queen Elizabeth Gurugram, and we also have with us our founding head of prep with us, Miss Sonal Chatrath. First, just a few words before Sonal also introduces herself to us. The opportunity for me to lead Queen Elizabeth School Gurugram allows me to practice over 30 plus years in international education in Asia, with the last 6 years leading one of India's oldest and well-regarded international boarding schools. I've served in deanships in higher education in the US and in Indonesia, been head of schools internationally in the Philippines, in Indonesia, and in India in the K-12 context. And I'm also a sociologist by training who's had the privilege of leading many learning communities to be their best selves as we collectively strive for excellence, not only academically, but in how we nurture and how we develop others. For me as an educator, nothing thrills me more, gives me greater satisfaction than to see students develop into all that they can be. And so this is really the reason why I have joined this great opportunity to lead Queen Elizabeth School Gurugram. Before going further in our program, I'm now pleased to introduce formally Miss Sonal Chatrath, who will be our founding head of Prep School. And these last weeks, it's been a joy for me to work with Sonal. And I know you will really enjoy getting to know her and all the leadership experiences she brings to this position. Sonal, thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. It's an absolute privilege for me to be the founding head of prep at Queen Elizabeth School, Gurugram, and be working alongside Dr. Cook. I have been in education in the UK for over 30 years and in senior leadership team over the last decade or so. As an early years specialist, I have owned my own nursery, have worked in a high performing prep school. And more recently, I was head of prep at John Lyons School, which is part of the Harrow School Foundation. In previous lives, I've also held the job of deputy head, academic, and director of learning support. It is a pleasure to have you all this evening, and I look forward to meeting you all in person soon too. Thank you. Over to you, Dr. Craig Cook.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Just a little bit of a review in terms of our heritage as a school community. The story of Queen Elizabeth School, Barnet, North London, begins almost 453 years ago with a charter to establish a boys' school in London. And it's a school which has established a consistent record of academic achievement and excellence, having been named School of the Year in the United Kingdom 3 times in recent history. And in the last 3 years alone, Queen Elizabeth graduates have achieved over 150 offers from Oxbridge, along with other offers from many leading universities around the globe. What will be unique about QE Gurugram is that we will be offering both boys and girls education. And in our second year, we'll also be offering a full boarding program. And these will be distinctives to our particular locale. Partnership. Our partnership with Global GEDU, Global Education, and Queen Elizabeth Barnet is really at the heart of what we were trying to accomplish. Partnership is what brings us here. It's a partnership between these two entities a partnership forged by Headmaster Neil Enright at QE Barnet and Dr. Vishwajit Rana, CEO of Gadu Global Education. And so I'm so pleased to report that this partnership is characterized by my firsthand observations by deep intentionality to serve students as we broaden the legacy of excellence in education founded by QE Barnet. As founding principal of QE Gurugram, I personally want you to know that you can expect coherence between our schools in London and here in the Delhi National Capital Region. As partners, each of us is committed to these standards of excellence across institutions. While we, of course, will lean into all the benefits of legacy and heritage, which includes connections with alumni all over the world, student exposure to industry leaders, we firmly plant the school with a vision for the future in preparing students for an ever dynamic and changing world, enabling them to thrive personally while leading coherently on the issues of the day. Our mission is found in three simple yet profound words: confident, able, and responsible. We aim to nurture students to be confident young people who can effectively express themselves. We aim to nurture students in their abilities and their skills and their dispositions. We aim to raise up students who are responsible, who seek the greatest good in each of their respective communities. In terms of curriculum, we'll be engaged with the Cambridge curriculum, and simply put, for these purposes today, three different phases: the early years, prep, and then senior school, all the way through A levels. In our first year, we will begin in the early years all the way up through year 9, which is grade 8. And every year thereafter, we will add an additional year up to eventually year 13. Before I move on to some more detail in regard to prep school, just a few distinctive programs that really set a Queen Elizabeth education apart. These distinctive programs shape student experience beyond academics alone. While academic excellence is certainly a hallmark of Queen Elizabeth and its education, it's so much more than just academics. Having been on campus several times in London, Queen Elizabeth School is known for its signature co- and extracurricular programs. In name, we call that Flourish, which really involves the 4 C's: to compete, to create, to contribute, and to challenge. And it's through these broad range of activities, which are often student-led, and it's where leadership is formed and forged in the lives of each of our students. Secondly is the distinctive Queen Elizabeth House system, which is really the heart of school life. Here's where students retain a sense of belonging, receive pastoral care, and leadership opportunities. And then the third area of distinction is in student well-being. It's our commitment to student well-being, which means we prioritize safeguarding of students, their well-being above all else. This comes through tutoring and routines that lead to a practice of values that always seek the greater good. Having visited numerous school communities over my 30 plus years in international education, I can tell you that I've never seen such strong structures in place which facilitate the nurturing and development of students as I have in Queen Elizabeth Barnet in North London. This happens not only through our commitment of pastoral care, that's through staff members and students caring for each other, but in these strong peer-to-peer nurturing across grade levels. It was just absolutely amazing to see. So how is it, though, that we accomplish all that we want to accomplish in these high aspirational ideals and goals? We can't do that without staff and faculty who are absolutely committed to caring for children. Teachers at Queen Elizabeth are hired not only as experts in their field, but they also must show strong commitment to loving and nurturing students while making themselves accessible to them. In one of my favorite educational studies, Brandon Bustede, who was director of research at the Gallup organization, points out that the leading variable in helping students thrive well beyond their university years and into adulthood was that during their school years, those thriving adults had at least one mentor who believed in them. At QE Gurugram, we are committed to creating these conditions for students where they are known by teachers and genuinely mentored by them out of a deep care for them. Now over to our founding head of prep school, Ms. Sonal. Oops, too many. Sonal, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Cook. About the prep school, We truly believe that this is where the educational journey begins. And as educators, we recognize and understand the profound impact that a school has on a child's growth and development. And our aim at Queen Elizabeth School is to ensure that every child achieves personal growth and success by providing an environment within which they will thrive academically, socially, and emotionally. We also want to ensure that the prep school years of a child's academic journey are a place of learning, of curiosity, and of personal growth. As founding heads, we do not see schools simply as a place of instruction. We see it as a beginning of a shared journey, one that we take together. From the very first day, we are building something purposeful. We're going to build a culture where children are deeply known, genuinely cared for, and intellectually stretched. We're shaping character, capability, and courage for life. As Dr. Cook has already mentioned, our mission is to nurture confident, able, and responsible young people. And how are we going to go about doing this? So, confident children. Confidence does not just happen by accident. It's intentionally cultivated. We create opportunities for children to speak, to perform, to lead, to question, and reflect. We celebrate effort as much as outcomes. Most importantly, we help children reinterpret challenge, not as a threat, but as a growth. We want children to do this in a safe environment, and we want children to do this with confidence. Our pastoral care systems ensure that no children will feel invisible. When setbacks occur, and they will, and in some ways we want them to, because we want children to know that it's okay not to get it right. We will guide them carefully through all of this, socially, emotionally, and academically. A confident child is one who knows I'm capable, I'm supported, and I can try again. And that belief on its own transforms futures. Able children, and what is able children? There's a strong foundations across the breadth of the curriculum, but ability is built carefully, deliberately, and systematically. The prep years are foundational years for this. This is where literacy and numeracy are not just rushed, but they are deeply embedded. And at Queen Elizabeth School, we will take our time to ensure that these skills are the strong foundations upon which we will continue to build. We will teach explicitly, we will model thinking, we will cultivate habits of concentration and curiosity. But at the same time, we will broaden horizons through arts, sports, inquiry, and creative exploration. We believe in this holistic education that is going to grow the whole child and will result in well-grounded children. We want children to not only achieve, we want them to be intellectually alive. Passion for learning is ignited when children experience success, when they're curious, when they wonder together. We want that collaboration with the children. We want to ignite that passion because we know that that spark, once lit, is going to last a lifetime. Alongside confidence and able, and we have responsibility. And what does responsibility do? Responsibility is going to begin in small daily choices that we are going to allow the children to make. And it is about educating the young children to make sure that they make the right choices. These are the children who are going to go out into the world, who are going to have to make some difficult choices. And sometimes they'll get them wrong, but it is going to be our aim to make sure that we create children who are going to be able to make these choices responsibly. We're going to teach them that their words matter. that their actions matter, that their contribution to society matters. And through guided conversations, restorative practices, and very clear expectations, children will learn accountability within a framework of care and safety. Our hope is that the pastoral guidance that we will provide the children with will support friendship skills, emotional regulation, and empathy. These are children who are setting out on their educational journey at a very young age, and that is what prep school is about. And it is our roles as practitioners in the prep school to ensure that we are guiding them down whatever the path it is, carefully and with care. We are forming citizens of the future, not just students. Our hope is that each child leaves us not only knowledgeable, but principled and compassionate, because above all, we want confident, able, and responsible children, but we also want to make sure that we are nurturing kind humans. So moving on through the prep school, why do the prep school years matter? Well, these are profoundly formative years, and the success of the future depends on the foundations that have been laid in those early years. Neuroscience reminds us that early childhood shapes identity, it shapes habit, and self-belief. This is when children decide, am I capable? Do I belong? Is learning for me? Do I want to learn? We answer those questions very intentionally in the prep years. And this is done through structure, through encouragement, and through setting those really high standards that we would expect out of a Queen Elizabeth pupil. Academic ambition and pastoral warmth are not competing forces here. Neither are they exclusive. They work in harmony because we feel that when children feel secure, they will take risks. These risks will be managed risks in a safe and secure environment, because when they take risks, they will grow. And when they grow, they begin to love learning and hence growing into lifelong learners. Now, one of the questions that we've had quite frequently over the past few weeks, and in fact, a lot of you have asked this question, is about the curriculum. And as Dr. Cook mentioned, we are going to be delivering the Cambridge curriculum. So the Cambridge Early Years curriculum provides a seamless educational bridge that aligns a child's first steps in learning with a world-class academic pathway. We take the play-based, child-centered philosophy of the early years worldwide and elevate it through a structured global framework. And by implementing this curriculum in the early years, we want to ensure that the purposeful play and exploration nurtured in the early years evolves naturally into the inquiry-based active learning that is required for successes in the later years. To implement the Cambridge curriculum throughout the school, this is driven by the unparalleled global recognition and the distinct academic advantages that it offers. As a gold standard in international education, Cambridge provides consistent, rigorous framework that is respected by universities and higher education institutes worldwide. The primary advantage of the Cambridge curriculum lies in its focus on active learning. We want our children to be involved in their learning and giving them those global perspectives, which is going to encourage them to think critically and solve problems creatively rather than learning to rely on rote memorization. We do not want to be teaching to tests. Of course, tests and exams are part and parcel of an education journey, but we want to make sure that we dive deep into our curriculum and give children the knowledge base that they are going to require to go out into the world. And this approach ensures us that our students are not just academically able, but they're also confident communicators and responsible citizens. By starting this journey in the prep years, we provide stable and a high quality pathway that is going to empower the learners to meet international benchmarks while developing a resilience and ambition that they are going to need to thrive in an increasingly interconnected world. We want to give them those resilience skills. We want to give them the confidence to make sure that they are not afraid to go out into the world. It is that can-do attitude that we want our children to have. And that is going to come through this Cambridge curriculum. So how is it that you are going to be a part of this journey? Well, this journey is shared. And I have always believed that parents are the child's first educators. And as your child embarks on this journey, we will join you as your partners in this. When school and home speak the same language of expectation, encouragement, and care, children will flourish. There is no conflicting messages that's coming there. We are all on the same page, where every decision that we make, and sometimes we will make decisions that you might not agree with, but you can be assured that all these decisions will be centered around your child for the best outcomes for your child. We commit to transparent communication and genuine partnership. We will guide, inform, and support you, and we will invite your insight and collaboration in this process. You know your child in more ways than anyone else, and we want to be your partner on this educational journey. Together, we will create consistency and clarity that strengthens both the well-being and the academic success of your children. For us, this is not a transaction. It is a partnership of trust. And on that, what can you expect from us as a school? Well, you can expect clarity, professionalism, and most importantly for me, you can expect heart, because you need heart to educate children. They need to know that we care. And when they know that, they will flourish. Our teachers who have been going through a rigorous recruitment process are going to be deeply committed educators. But not only that, they will also be mentors and role models. They understand that academic excellence and pastoral care are inseparable. And in our classrooms, you will see calm routines and intellectual stretch. You will see warmth, you will see affirmations, and you'll see enjoyment and joyful engagement of learning. We want our children to be part of this learning process. Children rise to high levels of expectations especially when they know what those expectations are, when they know that they are cared for. And this is the culture that we are intentionally building at Queen Elizabeth School in Gurugram, raising the next generation. And this is the big task that we have ahead of us. Ultimately, we are shaping futures. We want children who are secure in their identity, who are confident in their voice, who are disciplined in thought, and who are generous in spirit. Your children will not only be prepared for the next stage of education, but they will be equipped for life. We want them to go out into the world when they leave us at the end of year 13 with curious minds, steady characters, and most importantly, with open hearts. There are a lot of practical considerations that have to be made, and I'm now going to pass you over to Dr. Cook to talk you through them. Thank you. Over to you, Dr. Cook.
Thank you, Sonal, so much for that overview of the curriculum and really the heart of education. I had a professor once tell me that education can be summarized simply with 3 questions. What are you doing? Why are you doing it? And how do you know it's good enough? And I know that we'll be committed as a school community to be transparent with what our standards are, with what the expectations are, and why we're learning what we're learning in order to, as you say, help students flourish. So thank you so much. Some practical considerations that I know have come up and some questions, and they're listed here, and you'll get a copy of this webinar, and we have some links attached. One is a school calendar. So we will plan to begin classes the third week in August. The facilities are going to be built in a phased manner, but I can tell you, looking at the plans, they are going to be state of the art. We're going to start the first year largely with classrooms, of course, and some other auxiliary features. In the second year, we plan to open a boarding section of the school, as well as amazing sporting facilities. And so we'll have renderings for you to look at when you come to our suites, the Queen Elizabeth Suites in Gurugram, and that's at the Atrium Building. We'll have more information on that as we go along. Thirdly is leadership. You can see our governance structure here, which again ensures quality, ensures coherence between schools. Practically speaking, transportation will be an issue to address, and that is through a transportation system that's premium, buses that will be provided with chaperones, with washrooms, and only of the highest quality. And then lastly is accreditation. Ms. Chatrath and I are already working with Cambridge and COBIS, which is the Council of Overseas British International Schools. And we are working with them on our preliminary accreditation so that all is in place as we begin this journey together. Now, Sonal is going to explain a few of our admissions processes before we close with some questions. Sonal.
Thank you, Dr. Cook. Our admissions process, we want to make it as personal as possible for each family. We recognize that one size doesn't fit all, and we want this to be for you and your children and make it a fair and inclusive process from the very beginning. So it's going to be structured in 6 different phases with, inquiry, visit, and conversation. In the first instance, as Dr. Cook has explained, our admission suite will be open over the next week, 10 days, where Dr. Cook and I would be delighted to meet you individually as families, face to face, and you can then ask us all those questions that you would have, which are exclusive to your child. We appreciate that, children will come with all sorts of different aspects to their profiles. We are happy to sit down and discuss those with you in how we can best meet to make sure that we provide the education that is going to be your child's best thing that happens in terms of reaching their potential. So applications are done online and the required documents are submitted through a registration fee. And once that we have accepted that and you've accepted a place with us, there is an application fee. Assessment and interviews will follow. Again, these are done individually, and we will make sure that your child is comfortable going through these assessments. The assessments are done so that we can have some sort of data that we always start collecting from now to make sure that we understand what your child's profile is going to be. As in all schools, our aim is going to be that we tailor that education to your child's needs. That is what the Queen Elizabeth education is going to look like. So on our website, you will find all the links to the admission portal. Please do reach out to the admissions team to book an appointment to come and meet with Dr. Cook and myself personally, and we'd be happy to guide you through the process individually. Thank you.
Thank you, Sonal. Thank you to each of you who submitted questions ahead of this webinar. Appreciate your input there. And before closing today's webinar, I'd just like to address 2 broad themes that I saw in the feedback we were getting through the soliciting of questions. First, the question was, how would you characterize the difference between the International Baccalaureate curriculum and the Cambridge curriculum? Second was, what will be distinctive about a Queen Elizabeth Gurugram education? Or simply put, why QE Gurugram? Let me address the first question initially. When we compare the IB to Cambridge, I would characterize the differences as breadth in the former versus depth in the latter. What I see as a key benefit of a Cambridge curriculum education is that beyond essential critical thinking skills, which are certainly there, is that in the end, students are required to be agents of knowledge in specific areas of study. The deep focus that the Cambridge curriculum offers to students in their area of interest will serve students well in university and beyond. And particularly this has relevance in the age of AI, where authenticity, truth, and knowledge production are constantly under threat. To me, this allows students to become expert agents of knowledge, which holds invaluable currency in today's and tomorrow's world, where AI pervades our present and future experience as learners. The Cambridge learner attributes are described as being confident, responsible, reflective, innovative, and engaged. They all lend themselves to nurturing students to understand themselves and their world in ways that they can credibly contribute in an ethical and effective manner to their respective communities. Secondly, addressing the question of why Queen Elizabeth Gurugram. Sonal and I have mentioned some of these features already, but just to highlight them as we close. One is heritage and legacy of excellence. That can't be manufactured. That's something that's developed culturally over time. And that's what you as parents and students will be joining. Secondly is the alumni network, a legacy of alumni all over the world that we will be able to tap into as a new founding school. Thirdly, as mentioned before, I can't underscore enough the idea of mentoring throughout all the structures that Queen Elizabeth offers. And that's well beyond teacher-staff relationship with students. It's that peer-to-peer relationship, which we often overlook in education. Access to faculty and staff that care about each student, international exchange of ideas. And then what I personally love is the idea of always seeking the greater good in the community, instilling in students this idea that I have a responsibility well beyond myself to create conditions where the greater good is met. And so I just want to thank you at the close of this meeting. And I know Ms. Chatrath supports this idea of thank you for joining us in this partnership. This is only the beginning of a journey that we take together. And we look forward to meeting many of you in a personal way and in a face-to-face way in the coming days and weeks at our suites in Gurugram. We hope this is the first of many engagements we have with you in a lifetime of learning for you and your children. Thank you for joining us. Have a wonderful evening. We hope to see you in person soon. Thank you.